Hello and welcome to Optimistic Wellness, the real story interview series. And I am here with Tripp Lanier, laughing for no reason whatsoever.
No reason.
No reason. Tripp Lanier, to sum him up in a brief statement, helps people live kick-ass lives. And he does it through coaching men and women, helps them take their lives to the next level. He hosts the New Man podcast over at thenewmanpodcast.com. Amazing show, got like 123 episodes. He's interviewed Ken Wilber, Steve Pavlina, Johnny B. Truant, a past guest. And again, I love the podcast. So Tripp himself, interesting man. He is the James Bond of the New Man world. and and he really he went to art school. He graduated from that. He started his own video production company. He's the freaking head singer of a rock band. Like this guy right here. Look at him drinking that water or coffee.
Shaken, not stirred.
Yes.
The James Bond, huh? Where'd that come from?
I don't know, man. Where?
I like that. I wish, but I've never fired a weapon in my line of duty. I'll say that.
No? Why not?
I have a license to ask questions. That's about as much as it gets.
Okay. Well, in this interview, I'm going to give you a license to answer questions.
Okay.
So here are a few quotes that I gathered from interviews, reading stuff. The first one, guys, they actually look at getting the girl as the finish line. It's the starting line. It's just getting started at that point. And the second quote, guys that are coming of age now are in a unique position in that we're standing on the shoulders of our fathers and our grandfathers. It's a luxury to have these challenges. My grandfather was fighting in a world war. My father went to war. It's a luxury to be able to sit here and be like, man, what am I really going to do with my life? To me, that's the amazing beauty of it, and it can be painful. So, Tripp Lanier, these are a few quotes of yours. The James Bond quotes here. Okay, so you mentioned in a previous interview that people are spending too much time eating McDonald's chicken nuggets, and you wanna upgrade them to the fucking steak. Like you want them to live a really kick-ass life. So I'm gonna take this personal here, of course, and ask, what are experiences in your life where you were eating the nuggets, and you were like, damn, I want a steak.
The first one that comes to mind, and we'll probably come across some others, but the first one that comes to mind, I remember being growing up in a small town, and this is before the internet. I think this is even before air. This is
Whoa.
This is a long time ago. But the
Long.
But I remember there's kind of this center of gravity in this small town. It was isolated. We didn't, it was a couple hours from any near city. And so I remember just being in this place like, well, this is all there is. This is it. And so you go to high school and then, some people are going to go off to college or they're going to do that, but this is basically kind of it. Looking around, looking at the people that were parents of friends of mine and just feeling that this is it. This is all there is. This is, we're looking at the menu and these are the chicken tenders or the baked potato or what, whatever bad
Baked
food
potato.
metaphor you can grasp. And I remember and my dad was great enough that he recognized that I had some creative talent, and he took me to meet this guy that was an art director or a creative director, owned his own ad agency down in Miami, and just even going to a big city at a young age and going into an ad agency and like, hey, here's what we do. We go on photo shoots and we create this and that and stuff that you've seen on television. We make all that stuff and we do this or that. And I just remember my brain going, like, whoa, there's so much more available. And I never went back to my hometown in the old way. It wasn't so much like, screw this place. It was just like, what else is out there? What else is possible? So for me, that's what I'm saying. Is like, we don't even realize there's more available to our lives. This doesn't mean that life sucks. It's just like, we don't even realize that we're ordering off of one flap of the menu. We're
ordering off of the wrong flap of the menu.
We're ordering off the kiddie menu.
Menu.
we're already ordering off the kid menu, and that's fine if you're a kid and you may be satisfied with that. I don't want to rack it for that. But for some of us that are bitching and moaning and being like, "Oh, this sucks," it's like, look around. There's a lot more out there. There's a lot more
Yeah.
possible. So, I mean, the New Man podcast is really, to me, is like, here's what's possible. Here's all these people doing some other cool, amazing stuff in their lives. So you don't have to sit around and bitch and moan that there's nothing else possible in yours.
Yeah. You deeply, deeply hurt my feelings, Tripp Lanier, because you mentioned the kids' menu. I was eating from the kids' menu until I was like 14, 15 years old. That was my biggest problem in life. What's going to
I'm
happen?
still eating off the kids' menu, just the way that you're a little too fired up about it.
Okay.
I see some chicken tenders back there on your pillow, by the way.
I don't know where that came from, but okay. All right. Let's go to 01 digital media. Chicken tenders on the pill. Okay, 01 digital media. What were some of these like essential lessons you learned from running a digital video production company? I know because I did a lot of video editing and like basketball clips a few years ago. I freaking
Cool.
loved it.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things like working with clients? I believe you worked with clients like ESPN or Hitachi, and you make all these types of videos. Could you talk more about that?
Yeah, I was really fortunate that I got into video editing at a time when the technology was changing. So, being a new kid on the block and there was new technology, I took to it quickly, and then somehow that helped me, basically kind of it evened the playing field for a guy like me. And what I lacked in experience of dealing with clients and that kind of stuff, I was able to execute and do really cool things. So it put me in a position to start a company, and I had tremendous support from the community that was there and was part of a small consortium, a small co-op. So I wasn't an island unto myself. I don't think I could have done it if I was isolated, and I don't think that's true for. I think that's true for everything.
Not even
We can't
James
really.
Bond.
Not even James Bond. He's got Q. He's got all these people supporting
It's
him.
true.
So I had great people that were supporting me,
Mhm.
and but the one thing I appreciate is I started that company when I was really young. I was only 5 months out of college. I was 22 years old, and I think I was just so naive. I had no idea what was at risk, and it didn't even bother me because it was like, well, if I screw up, I'll just broke like the rest of my friends. So it wasn't that big a deal. But um, I learned a lot. The whole fake it till you make it thing was a big thing for me. And it was just like, yeah, we can do that. And then I would go and figure out how to do it. And so
Just
I don't
dive
know.
in.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm answering your question. What do you really want to know about that experience? Like, help me understand that.
I love in general, like with the interview and stuff, I love to go as deep as possible in like psychology and how that kind of I actually I know this is a really tough question because when I look back and if you asked me this question, like how did video editing affect your life, it would be quite a difficult question to answer personally. But I want to know. I mentioned the evolution of Tripp Lanier. I want to know like what did Tripp Lanier know back then, like that maybe has evolved up until
Well,
now?
okay. Here's what I got out of that
Okay.
experience. That for a lot of people, and especially a lot of people, that were my age, are like, okay, I'm going to go get a job, and then one day I'll have my own business. But we were under this mentality that before I can have my own business, I have to have X, Y, Z. I have to check off these boxes. And then once I got my business and I got it off the ground and I was doing it, and I was like, wait a second, why is everybody waiting around? Why, this was one of those things that seemed to be way out there on top of some mountain that was only for a few people. And I was like, wait a second, I'm doing this. And I'm only, by that time I was just 24, 25 years old. And so there was this, I guess I just started to see there was a facade over a lot of things in life that when we're told we can't do something or those are for just those people, I was like, that's bullshit. Like I just
Yeah.
didn't buy into it. So I think that was probably one of the things that impacted me early on was that a lot of things that they said that people say, oh, you can't do that, or that's only for certain people. I just didn't buy it because I went to art school. I went to media production school. They didn't teach us any business stuff then. So, and I started a business and I was able to actually run a business. So, because if you don't know how to run a business, just if you even if you're good at your craft, that doesn't mean that you know how to run a business. So, that was probably the biggest thing that I started to
Love
see the
that.
world in a different place of like, well, what else are they telling us that we can't
Uh-huh.
do that we can do?
I love that, running a business, and that's a problem that I've actually had, and my parents have been trying to instill that in me for years. They're saying like, Josh, whatever you're doing, you gotta you gotta make a business because like in this society, yeah, philanthropy is nice. It's really nice, but you gotta learn how to monetize it.
Hmm.
So
Well, you got. I think
definitely.
it's just sustainability. Like if anything, there's one of the things that I saw when I lived in Boulder. There's so many really talented, amazing people there that are, let's just say they're in the healing profession, whatever that is, from therapy to coaching to whatever, and they could have really big impact on the world, and they actually want to help people. I mean, if you look, there's a lot of morons out there that don't really want to help people. They just want to take their money. So it's like, wow, why? But there's this resistance that I found, and even in myself, I had to. I think one of the most transformative things that I've done was actually go through that business part of things. How do I help people and do it in a sustainable way? Because otherwise, I got to go get a job, and then I don't really help that many people. So how do you do it in such a way that you can
Yeah.
support yourself and help lots of people? But there's a big resistance to that, and it's sad because there's a lot of people that want to help lots of people, but there's something going on between their ears that keeps them from taking that step and being able to turn that into a business so that they can sustain
And you
themselves.
know what? Let's stay on that topic here. And in an interview, you actually said something that let's keep this on the business perspective, and then maybe we'll gear it the same question to the relationship perspective
Okay.
because it's really good. You said something in an interview that on some level we have this primal fear that if I'm completely honest and authentic with myself while we're talking in this interview right now, or while I'm out into the world in any group or individual one-on-one conversation, that if I present my authentic self, somehow in some way I'm going to be alone. This is a concept that you mentioned. So what steps have you taken to overcome this fear in I guess we can go through business and relationships because I think those are the big two. And what tips can you give to, people like me, people who are watching this who are really, resonate with that fear, which is not a good thing.
Well, give me more of an example. Like, what do you? If you want to talk about you, let's talk about
Okay,
you. Or if you've got
let's
something in
do it.
mind, because I want to nail it. Okay, for you.
Okay. That is very good. Okay, so let me think. Relationships, definitely. For example, just this interview series in particular, one thing I've got this call recording, and when I've got a call recording for whatever reason, I tend to be a little bit more formal in my mannerisms, in my facial expressions. I never know like exactly what to do. I feel like somehow the person viewing this, like I want them to like me. I want them to approve of me. Because maybe there's some kind of fear that, if there's some attractive girl watching this, she's not going to want to date me if I'm not like this incredibly, masculine dude. Or there's someone that's not going to want to do business with me if I'm not like a certain way. And maybe that fear is coming up a little bit right now that I'm actually, bringing this conversational topic into a tangent. So that's a personal example of that
Great,
fear.
great. Well, I appreciate that. That helps a lot. I think there's this sense that we've got to perform. That as we are, and I'll just speak to this. On my own personal, from my own personal experiences, this sense of, well, I can't, just as I am, that can't be enough. I have to embellish it. I've got to, dress it up, or I've got to make myself bigger than I seem to be, or I've got to make myself funnier than I am, or I've got to make myself, more valuable or something like that. But I think the core thing that's underneath all of that is just the sense that as I am is not enough. And just again, I run into this a lot in my coaching practice, but I'll just speak from my own personal experience that when I bump up against that, oh, it's just the worst. It's just like I don't want to be reminded. I don't want to have anything tell me I'm not enough. So to me, there's this posturing that happens that says, well, I'm not going to give you a chance. I'm going to embellish it. I'm going to blow myself up. I'm going to inflate myself a bit so you, you don't see that I'm not enough. Does that make sense? Does that resonate for
That
you at all?
makes that does. It's like the ego versus the, true self. Every time you transcend it, it wants to I was having talk with a friend, and there's like a little cool diagram. This is your ego. This is your journey to, self improvement, self development, the healing profession, as you would say. And you're going up there, and as you get higher, the ego, you transcend it for a little, and then it runs up there and it goes kuh, 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 and then tries to bat you down. But the higher you get up there, the more of a discrepancy there is between the ego and the actual self that you are. Whenever the ego tries to go up, you can recognize it as the ego, as that fear, and say, like, you know what? You're not real. Like, I love you, man. Ego, you're awesome. But you know what? Just chill here. I'll talk with you every now and then. But you want to get up here. But it is disappointing though sometimes what you're saying when you go up there, and like how that fear comes up of being the authentic self. So that's kind of an illustration that comes to mind. Shout out to Steph if you're watching this, by the way. That's that's
All
where we
right,
came up with
Steph.
that.
This comes down to a concept, just this idea of wholeness.
Wholeness.
So, the world is either this place where we go to get something and fill up, the hole that we have in ourselves. So, when I'm doing an interview and I'm not feeling very good about myself, then I'm going to do it in certain ways so that you like me and I get to feel better or whatever,
Yes.
right? Or that she likes me or whatever. I'm getting something. Flip it to coming from a place of wholeness of I'm already enough. I'm already good enough as I am. Then the world becomes the place to give. The world becomes a place to share and contribute. And so I actually think that this can be cultivated. I think that this can be practiced. It's not something we have to go and achieve. And a lot of us are trying to do that. If you look at, whether it's money or sex or status or whatever, we think that once we have, enough of XYZ, then we'll feel enough here. And that's a trap. There's a lot, like once I have enough listeners or once I have enough, whatever it is, we come up with this idea that down the road I'll have enough. But
Yeah.
it's really about remembering I'm already enough. And so from this place, what do I want to create? What do I want to give? And so this is a practice I use all the time. Now that I've got this, I'm able to start to recognize there's a fork in the road. That instead of doing the continuous posturing, which I do, but instead of just like unconsciously doing that, I just
Mhm.
ask myself, well, what would I do if I was enough? How would I act if I were enough?
What would I do if I was enough? How would I act if I was enough?
And so suddenly you can start to see that what maybe it's this gap that you're talking about. We start to see, well, if I was enough, well, I wouldn't worry about this, or I'd already go do this because I wouldn't need to wait for that to happen or something. So we start to recognize that, well, okay, from a place of lack, from scarcity, or from, insecurity, whatever it may mean, low self-esteem. This is what life looks like. But from enough, oh well, geez, I could just feel it. Like, oh, I'd relax. I'd go hang out. I'd go have a good time. I'd oh, I'd do this other project that I've been waiting to do, but I think I've got to do this one first. Like we put ourselves into this kind of dichotomy that we can only do this once we've had enough. So what would life look like if you were already enough?
What would
That
life
that,
look like?
like
And that
yeah.
brought up another little personal tangent there that I thought was really cool. Yeah, if you just ask yourself that question and act from that place, you've got it all handled. If you can actually do that, you've got life. You got life in a bag. You wouldn't be so scared of maybe posting like the main coaching question you ask your clients is, you have them do a free write on what do you want, like what do you want in life, and and I would actually propose an appendage to that, or appendum, however you say it. It doesn't matter, but and you might do this to publicly share it, or at least with one or two people. For example, one of the desires that I had was like, I want amazing sex, I want a girlfriend. And for some reason, when I posted that up, a video saying that, I was like, man, before I hit the submit button, I was like shaking in fear. I was like, what? Where is this coming from? My goodness, we all want amazing sex. We all want a relationship. That's the only freaking reason we're alive on this earth. And I can't post that on my Facebook? Man, so I feel you on that. What would I do if I was enough? And I'm really
It's
liking
funny. I mean,
this.
this is where we talk about confidence, right? So invariably I talk to, you know, coaching clients. So like, yeah, I want to be more confident. I'm like, well, help me understand why you want to be more confident. Well, because girls are attracted to guys that are confident. It's like, okay, so you just want to look more confident. Yeah. It's just like, I want to put on this outer layer of confidence, even though on the inside I don't feel good. I'm not really that confident. But just tell me what it means to look like I'm confident. And to me, it's just like, well, let's go there. What would you do if you were confident? I would post things like I would post the truth on Facebook, or I would go have this conversation with so and so, or I would be honest with my friend that it bugs me when they do this or that. So, well, to me, and then they come back and like, well, I don't really want to have to do all that. I was like, okay, well, then you're not really that confident. But it helps to start to see that gap. And for those of you watching this right now, I would advise you just to even have that awareness. Can actually be a great impact in your life, because you'll know it's not that, oh, here's where I'm screwing up, but it just starts to see, I do the same things every day, but I know if I was coming from a place of confidence, I was coming from a place of wholeness, and I was a place from enough, I would be doing X, Y, and Z. And I think over and over again, if you keep that in your awareness, you will slowly but surely start to make decisions that are in alignment with that. And you don't have to be doing X, Y, and Z before you feel better, but just doing a little bit that's in service of that feels great. We go to bed at night and we feel satisfied, like, yes, I am doing something that's in alignment with me. I'm not waiting for permission to go do what I really want.
Hell yes. And a great indicator of that is your relationships with everyone, like the quality of your family relationships, friendships, whatever. It's a great quality. And as I've been working on it, in the beginning when I was like, now I'm 20, but when I was like 16, 17 years old, I got into the whole like pickup thing, and I was like, yeah, what can I do to look more confident, to like go up into a room of women and be like, yeah, ladies, I'm the man. And now I'm 20 and I'm just starting to realize, like, maybe you want to start doing your laundry first before you do that. And I haven't done my laundry. I was planning to have my mom help me learn how to use the laundry machine, because I haven't done it before. But
At 20.
At
All right,
20.
get on it, man. What are you waiting on?
Dude, I know. But I've been taking like action steps. Personal responsibility. That's the key to confidence right there.
I think so. I mean, that's, and again, what you're talking about is wholeness, whether it's talking about laundry, but if we're dependent upon others for our own peace of mind, and part of that peace of mind may be laundry, like, oh my God, if mom doesn't do my laundry, what am I going to do?
I'm screwed.
But that's what's happening. That's what's happening, is that we've developed all of these little relationships or these dependencies in our life, and it's not that it's bad to have relationships. That's not it. But if we need something from them, they're little hooks. And so guys talk about neediness a lot, and that kind of thing, and these kind of dependencies, like, I need you to think I'm okay so that I'm okay. And there's lots of these little things going on. But if you were to do an audit, if you were somehow able to zoom out and look at your life and say, where am I depending upon others for me to feel okay about me? You could start to examine each one of those and head them off and say, I want to take each one of those back. Mm-hmm. So it could be laundry, it could be whatever, but each one of those that you take back has you feel a greater sense of wholeness. And each one of those will be a confrontation of sorts. Each one of those is going to be a challenge. And each one of those is going to push you to expand outside your comfort zone. Expect it. Expect resistance to show up. Expect it to be like, oh man, this sucks. I don't really do this. But on the other side of that is greater wholeness. So
I like your impression of resistance.
I hear it a lot.
That's great, man. So let's conclude this up. Tripp, I really enjoyed this. I feel like I grew a lot in this interview, because I said a lot of stuff that maybe I have not been so open about. So thank you for drilling me on that before, like for turning the tables here. I appreciate it. To everyone listening, Tripp beforehand said that he was going to turn the tables on me. And he did.
Well, I think we both showed up. We were both sharing stuff. I would much rather have a conversation than this kind of interview. You ask a question, I answer. I like us going back and forth. So
I'm gonna
thank you.
take
It
that.
made it much more. And here it is. Right, here's the thing.
Okay.
If I share more about myself, it may not work. It may not be a good show. Whatever the fears are that we go out there. But I'm actually was really engaged in this process. I enjoyed it a lot more, and I think that just the back and forth that we have, from my experience, is going to be beneficial for others. I'll let your audience decide, but if we got to see a different side of you and a different side of me, I think that's all good. That's what we really want. We don't want
Yeah.
the scripted same old, same old.
That's fantastic, and I'm gonna take that. I'm really gonna take that into account for the next interviews that I'm gonna be doing. This is gonna be it's gonna have a big impact. So thanks for that.
Good.
So where
You're
can
so
we
welcome.
find you? Yeah, where can we find you on the internet with the projects and links and websites for Tripp Lanier?
Best place is the newmanpodcast.com. 120 something episodes as of now. They're all available for free. All kinds of great stuff. You've done a really good job of promoting that. Thank you.
Yep.
And if you're interested in coaching with me, tripplanier.com. TrippLanier. You can learn more about the coaching services I have. And I don't like to listen to a lot of podcasts. I like to have a condensed version of things. So I created this thing called the New Manual, which is just a very condensed. Here's the best practices and things I've learned from coaching and from doing all these interviews, and so you can get all of that in a bite-sized chunk at thenewmanual.com. That's what I recommend.
Awesome, Tripp Lanier. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Josh.
All
Take care,
right.
buddy.
Thank you. And optimism is the only way.